or it is in the very beginning. I'm going to present a success project that finished in 2019, just before the COVID emergency, and that now, in this day, is starting its exploitation. So now is going in the real field. So, well, what was STRM? STRM was a project with the aim to define a methodology to face climate change. Face climate change and help the cultural sites to be more prepared and more proactive in acting against the potential damage. And we approached the project addressing two kinds of hazard: the sudden onset hazard, so for instance a storm, a typhoon, an earthquake, or stuff like that, but also the slow hazard. So for instance humidity, the change in the level of the sea, and other types of emergencies that are not so immediate, but you will see the results in the future. And we, from the very beginning, we addressed the issue with having in mind the fact that the collaboration between different competencies was a priority. So in the very beginning, we started the discussion, for instance, between engineers and restorer, art historian, architects, and all people surrounding the cultural site. But also, when possible, involving a wider plateau, so involving the communities, in order to understand, for instance, the real value of a cultural site and why it is important to maintain it. And we understood from the very beginning that the field view was really very important. So the first step was, after achieving all the information, the first step was to design a risk assessment that should be dynamic. Well, first of all these outcomes are free, so you can download all the results from the Zenodo platform. So all the cultural material is absolutely open. So we designed a methodology to address risks, taking into consideration the hazard itself, but also the exposure layer, so how the cultural patrimony is exposed, and a vulnerability. Vulnerability is conditioned by a lot of factors. So for instance, also the possibility to cope with the emergency from the specific side. This means that the risk assessment should be dynamic. So we cannot have a risk assessment done on paper and that's all. And at the end, we have a risk map with the identification of priorities. Priorities are directly linked with the type of hazard that we are facing. So, what we put in place? We put in place, this is the list of people involved, including first responder. We had the participation of the Italian firefighter, but we have also the participation of firefighter in other countries. We have here our friend from the Crete Island, and I remember in Crete Island we had this day in which we block completely Retino. And when in the morning I was to have breakfast in a bar, we said, oh, we are blocked today because they have to do. So we had firefighter involved, but we have also climatologists. We have an Austrian institute that provided a specific schema for each pilot site. What we understood is that collaboration is a key strategy. So we have not to close the door and design the strategy, but we have to open and we have to be in touch with as much as possible people who are interested in what we are doing. Well, at the end, what we understood is that we need really to be prepared. And this is something that we succeed in doing in a pilot site. And now the question we left is what to do next. So we had the methodology, we had also a technological platform, although we have to say that the technological platform, as in most of the European projects, was developed. I'm not, I am part of a social innovation oriented foundation. So the problem when doing this project with industrial partners is that they are from different companies, and it is very hard at the end to convince them to join and to go in the market or in field at least. Well, I think this is all from my side. I leave the floor to Maria Concetta Capua, who is telling you what is next. So what we are going to do from now on. But I want to first, if possible, I don't know if Anastasias or Kostas want to say a couple of words about the experience. They are from the pilot, one of the pilots. We had 5 pilots in this project, and we should have 2 of them today, but due to the COVID, one of them is not participating. I don't know.
to go on with this fantastic experience that we have had with STORM, we propose in another project that we have had the funding from Compagnia di San Paolo, the foundation of Compagnia di San Paolo, whose objective was the development and the support of project, and to enable owners of assets, facilitate conservation and maintenance, and provide tools for management. In 2021, we won this the funding to realize this new project in Italy, and our project was selected between 50 proposals, and we choose the NOVALESA Abbey that I will show you going on, and because it adheres to this objective, offering an approach that was already tested, as we said, in the STORM European project. The original STORM was related to the management of emergencies. In this case, we proposed to adapt its results to manage conservation and strategic maintenance. The owners shared this idea to introducing this innovative methodology, even supported by a dedicated IT solution. Few words about the object of this project. The object, the site that where we will experiment, but not only an experiment. We go on with this activity. The Abbey of NOVALESA, that was founded in 726. And it was built at the entrance of Moncenisio Pass. It is inside the natural park of Moncenisio. It is an old Benedictine abbey that is one of the most important testimonies of the culture of the Northern Alps. The architectural complex is constituted by a church and a monastic building, and immersed in Moncenisio Park, parts of the Abbey complex are 6 country chapel with paintings that goes from 10th century to 18th century. Today, this heritage is guarded by Città Metropolitana di Torino, and to the care of the few Benedictines who still live inside. The cultural heritage is supervised by the superintendents of Piemonte, but often the conservation action are done in an emergency. And when the object reaches of attention to the Abbey assets, that remedial action are always invasive and more expensive, with a heavy repercussion of on the historical value of the work of art. In this project, we want to introduce the STORM method. From one hand, we will have the systematization of informations by introducing a new method of risk analysis and data management coupled with a dedicated IT platform. And this could help managers to demonstrate the effectiveness of investments in maintenance actions. And on the other hand, we want to arrive to an active involvement of the communities in the territory. There is a strategic maintenance plan management designed from the Abbey, on the Abbey assets, with easy to use supporting tool will help the manager in making decisions, as for example sensors and electronic actuators that can adapt to the scale and cultural importance and available resources in the site. The involvement of the association and the monastic community will be an active part of the process, even through training aiming to improve their capacity in the future. And finally, the role of restorers, that is one of to coordinate intervention, but according to the address of the international organization such as ICOM, UNESCO and ICOMOS, it is even to transfer information and basic notion regarding the principle of conservation and degradation process to improve awareness specifically on the Abbey site, and mainly to actors belonging to communities. In the end, the project we will address three types of community. The local community, those who live in or near the cultural heritage site, to provide new ways interacting with the site and will help increase the responsibility for its conservation and consequently the sense of belonging. The communities of interest, those who feel a connection, who are interested in cultural heritage, community that take advantages from cultural heritage as the visitor, for example. The plan will support connection between different actors and will motivate the new form of understanding the site. And then the third type, the community of practice, those who work directly inside the site as conservators, restorers, archaeologists, historians, necessarily interested to the implementation of the strategic plan to preserve and maintain the NOVALESA Abbey. This is our objective, and it is our work for the next 3 years.